Solar energy versus wind energy. Solar energy and wind energy are both leading forms of renewable energy, each offering tremendous potential to replace fossil fuels. But when comparing the two, solar energy holds several advantages that make it better, more practical, and more scalable for the majority of the world's energy needs. And understanding these advantages requires looking at technological, economic, geographical, social, and environmental perspectives in depth, starting with the fundamental difference between the two sources. Solar power relies on sunlight captured through photovoltaic panels or concentrated solar systems, while wind power relies on air currents driving turbines to generate electricity. And though both are abundant natural resources, sunlight is far more predictable, widespread, and accessible than consistent wind, making solar energy the more universal solution. Sunlight reaches nearly every inhabited region on Earth daily, even in colder climates, whereas wind patterns are geographically uneven and often require specific terrains like coastal areas, plains, or offshore locations to be viable. Which means solar can be deployed on rooftops in urban areas, deserts, farmland, highways, and small village rooftops, while wind turbines generally require large open fields, rural or offshore locations, and significant spacing between units due to turbulence and noise concerns, making solar energy much more adaptable to human settlements and everyday use. Economically, solar panels have experienced dramatic cost reductions over the past 2 decades, with the price per watt of solar PV dropping by over 80% since 2010, driven by mass production, improvements in efficiency, and global investment. While wind turbines, although also cheaper than before, have not reached the same level of modularity and affordability, since each turbine is a massive machine requiring heavy materials, specialized installation, ongoing maintenance of moving parts, and significant transmission infrastructure, whereas solar panels have no moving parts, require minimal maintenance, and can be installed incrementally from a few panels on a home to massive utility-scale farms, making solar more financially accessible to individuals and small businesses, while wind remains mostly a utility-scale technology dominated by large companies. Another key advantage is reliability. While both solar and wind are intermittent, solar energy is more predictable because sunlight follows a clear daily cycle that can be forecasted with precision, while wind speeds can vary unpredictably even within a single day and may stop entirely for extended periods, making solar output easier to integrate with storage and demand management systems. In fact, one of the strongest arguments in favor of solar is its compatibility with distributed generation and energy independence. Homeowners and businesses can install solar on their rooftops and immediately offset their own electricity use, reducing reliance on centralized utilities, while very few people can install their own personal wind turbine due to space zoning costs and noise issues, meaning solar democratizes energy in a way wind cannot. From an environmental perspective, both technologies are clean, but solar has less ecological disruption. Wind turbines require large tracts of land, can disrupt landscapes, and pose risks to bird and bat populations, while solar can be integrated on rooftops, over parking lots, on brownfields, and even floating on reservoirs, thereby producing energy without significantly altering ecosystems. And modern bifacial solar panels can even allow partial sunlight penetration, making agrivoltaic systems possible where crops grow under panels, combining food and energy production, something wind turbines cannot achieve. Noise is another factor. Wind turbines generate constant low frequency noise that can be disturbing to nearby residents, limiting how close they can be built to communities, whereas solar panels are silent and unobtrusive, blending easily into residential and commercial environments. Aesthetic acceptance is also higher for solar, since rooftop panels are less intrusive compared to 100-meter turbines dominating skylines, which often face local opposition. Furthermore, solar energy requires far less water in operation compared to traditional power sources, and while wind also uses little water, the life cycle analysis of materials shows that turbine blades made of composites are harder to recycle, whereas solar recycling technology is improving rapidly, making long-term sustainability more achievable. From a grid integration standpoint, solar power generation aligns more closely with demand in many regions. Electricity demand often peaks during the day when businesses' air conditioning, And industries are active, which matches solar output, while wind generation often peaks at night or during off-peak times, creating mismatches that require either curtailment or additional storage solutions. The modular nature of solar further strengthens its advantage. You can add panels one by one, scaling capacity flexibly, but you cannot build half a wind turbine. It requires full deployment to function, meaning solar is easier for gradual investment. Storage integration is also more advanced with solar lithium-ion batteries. Flow batteries and other technologies are being widely deployed to store excess daytime solar for nighttime use, whereas wind storage integration is less intuitive because of unpredictability. From a policy and adoption perspective, solar has penetrated the residential, commercial, and utility markets globally with millions of small installations, alongside large plants creating a decentralized and resilient energy network. While wind remains largely centralized, dependent on large fields or offshore facilities that are vulnerable to single-point failures or require costly transmission expansion to deliver energy to cities. Looking at global energy access, solar has been transformative in developing regions where small solar home systems and microgrids bring electricity to rural villages without needing expensive infrastructure. While wind cannot serve this role effectively because of its scale, maintenance needs, and site requirements. On an innovation front, solar technology is advancing at breathtaking speed. Perovskite solar cells, tandem cells, and bifacial modules are pushing efficiency higher while reducing costs, while building integrated photovoltaics, BIP, AV, are turning windows, facades, and even roads into energy producers. And solar-powered vehicles, wearables, and consumer products are expanding the possibilities of solar far beyond the grid, whereas wind technology improvements mostly focus on larger turbines and offshore expansion, which, while important, lack the same level of integration into daily life. Another angle is resilience. Solar systems paired with batteries can keep homes, schools, and hospitals powered during outages or disasters, since panels can be mounted securely on rooftops and operate independently, while wind turbines, being large, mechanical, and dependent on grid infrastructure, are less suited for small-scale resilience and can even be shut down in extreme weather to avoid damage. The lifetime of solar systems is also a strong point. Most panels come with 25 to 30-year warranties and degrade slowly, maintaining high performance over decades, while wind turbines often require more frequent maintenance gear and blade replacements and operational downtime, which increases long-term costs. Land use efficiency also favors solar. A single square meter of solar panel can generate significant electricity annually when installed in sunny regions, while wind turbines, though producing large amounts per unit, require wide spacing and cannot be densely packed, meaning solar farms can achieve higher overall density per square kilometer, especially when combined with dual-use applications like rooftops, agrivoltaics, or floating solar. When we consider public perception, surveys show that solar energy enjoys broader public support and faces fewer siting controversies compared to wind, where communities often oppose turbine projects due to visual, noise, or environmental concerns, slowing down deployment. From a national security standpoint, solar decentralization reduces risks of large-scale blackouts or targeted attacks, since energy generation is spread across millions of rooftops, while centralized wind farms represent larger single targets. Even in offshore applications, while offshore wind holds promise, it is extremely expensive, requires deep-water engineering, and faces challenges of salt corrosion and environmental impacts on marine ecosystems, whereas floating solar on reservoirs or lakes is simpler, cheaper, and often synergistic with existing hydropower dams, reducing evaporation and providing shade to improve water quality. Another important aspect is resource availability. While both wind and solar are renewable, sunlight is effectively infinite and evenly distributed, whereas high wind potential is concentrated in specific regions like the Great Plains, North Sea, or certain coastal zones, leaving many countries with limited wind potential but abundant solar potential. In urban planning and energy independence strategies, solar clearly dominates. Cities cannot realistically cover themselves with wind turbines, but they can cover rooftops, parking lots, and facades, with solar making them self-reliant and lowering transmission needs. And since cities are where most energy is consumed, this is a decisive advantage. Even in terms of learning curves and employment, solar has created more jobs worldwide due to its distributed nature from rooftop installers to manufacturing, sales, and maintenance, while wind jobs are more concentrated in specialized construction and fewer in ongoing maintenance, meaning solar contributes more broadly to local economies. Globally, solar capacity has been growing faster than wind, now leading as the most installed renewable source in new capacity each year, showing market preference and investor confidence. While wind energy has undeniable strengths, particularly in specific regions with strong, steady winds, and at utility scale, the universal applicability, scalability, predictability, economic accessibility, and technological versatility of solar energy make it better overall, and as battery costs decline, smart grids expand, and solar efficiency, climate superiority will only become more pronounced. The symbolic and cultural power of solar also matters. Sunlight is universally understood as a life-giving force, and capturing it resonates with people more deeply than the mechanical imagery of turbines. Solar empowers individuals to say, "I produce my own electricity," while wind is something owned by corporations in remote fields, reinforcing the perception that solar is the people's energy. To summarize, while wind energy will continue to play a crucial role in the renewable mix, especially in high-wind regions and offshore developments, solar energy is better in almost every practical sense, more adaptable to diverse geography, more affordable for individuals and nations, more predictable in generation, easier to integrate with storage, more supportive of local economies, less intrusive environmentally, and more aligned with the vision of a decentralized, resilient, and democratic energy future, which is why solar is rapidly becoming the backbone of the world's clean energy transition, outpacing wind in deployment, innovation, and societal acceptance, and ultimately offering a clearer, brighter, and more sustainable path forward for humanity's energy needs.